Welcome to Call Your Hits, a Storm Riders Airsoft podcast. Thanks for joining us, everyone, and happy holidays to you and yours, whatever it is that you celebrate at this time of year. I know that it can also be a tough time of year for some, and if that's the case for you, just know that you're not alone, and hopefully this release right on the 24th can serve to keep you company a bit over the next few days. At the start of this year of 2025, Pat and I set out a challenge to ourselves and to our community to create a bingo card for themselves filled with things that they wanted to accomplish in Airsoft in 2025. It's something that I do personally, like outside of Airsoft. My wife and I have our own bingo cards for what we wanted to accomplish. And it, in the context of Airsoft, it could be as things as simple as, playing a certain number of times or, taking up running to get a bit fitter, or even things as grandiose as traveling to another country to play Airsoft. Really, whatever you wanted. The idea is that, unlike New Year's resolutions, which I think are kind of bunk for a variety of reasons, which we're not going to get into, the bingo objectives gives people smaller, sort of bite-sized objectives to accomplish throughout the year, rather than front-loading everything and saying, okay, well, you're doing this, you're keeping you to the whole year, and then if you fail, there's no way for you to recover. Okay, maybe I am getting a little into why I don't like New Year's resolutions, but yeah,
to try to distract you, multiple smaller concrete goals is a better way to accomplish most projects.
Yeah, certainly, yeah, and it's like the saying, "How do you eat an elephant one bite at a time?" Same sort of deal. So we had several people.
I do love some delicious elephant.
You have never eaten elephant, and nor should you. They're wonderful.
That's true. I would not eat an elephant.
Plus, they never forget or forgive. We had a few people in the Discord community actually take up the challenge, including, in particular, I want to shout out Bryce, who completed the most bingo objectives of all the people in our Discord community. And we also had Kirby from our team. So, in our local community, so not really Discord, but he completed his entire bingo card, all of it. And not all of his objectives were gimmies. So that's
because he's a madman.
Yeah.
Props. Don't get me wrong. But you're a madman.
Definitely. It's huge props and congratulations to both Bryce and Kirby on doing that.
Absolutely.
And so, that being said, I thought that Pat and I would go over some of our bingo objectives from 2025, go through, look at what our cards look like, and talk about sort of what we achieved, what we didn't, maybe why, and some of the lessons we learned along the way. One of the things I'm going to start out with, one of the big objectives that I had for 2025 was playing Airsoft outside of Newfoundland. So that's something that I had done in 2024 when we went to Iron Horse. And I knew that we were going to go to Europe for a family vacation. And so my hope was that we would be able to maybe get some Airsoft in there. And then as a fallback, I was really hoping that we'd be able to play Airsoft in Ontario. And it turns out that we were able to do both of those things. So I'm just using this as a quick example of what the objectives were like. And so in thinking about creating the objectives, I both was thinking about, okay, well, what is, reasonable for me to accomplish, or what could I do, or what would I aspire to do? And also, what is likely going to happen, or what is going to be possible to do? So some of the goals were a bit more of a stretch, and we'll look at that specifically when we look at some of them. But some of them are a lot more reasonable. So
I think into something like this, it's good to have some that are harder, right?
Yeah.
I find it funny because I did a bad job of some of the ones that I would have said were really easy.
Yeah. So why don't we look at some of your objectives from this year? I think the top one, your top left one, was to play an op as a saw gunner or an SSW. Did you get a chance to do that this year, or did you actually end up doing it? I can't recall.
So that one's a flop, but it's a flop because for pretty much the entire season, and we've talked about this a couple of times on the podcast, the box mag that I need to run my saw needs to be shipped back to, I still haven't gotten around to that, but needs to be shipped to Florida to get repaired. And for pretty much the entire Airsoft season, our government had tariffs on stuff coming back in from the States, so shipping it to get it repaired would have cost me conservatively $800 or $500, between $500 and $800.
Yeah.
And I just wasn't willing to pay $500 for a working box mag for an airsoft gun. Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
um, especially on top of like it wasn't a cheap box mag in the first place.
Yeah, so and that kind of screwed you over for a few of your objectives, I think,
Yeah,
which
like I have it on my other monitor for the folks who are like, why is he looking over here?
Mhm.
So I had like 3 games with a 249, playing op with it. Um, okay, so I only had it there twice, but like specifically, yeah, I would have gotten a bingo if I had played an op as a saw gunner. But all of our ops for the year were finished by the time the government canceled the bloody tariffs, and because of that, I really couldn't feasibly do that one. I guess I could have borrowed one, and like run it for an op, but that wasn't really the vibe, if you will.
Yeah, certainly. And I mean, like you were saying, for $500 to $800, you're just, it's like, yes, I could get this fixed, or you
I'm
could
pretty sure I could have
basically
got
buy a new one, right?
like I mean I'm pretty sure I could have gone to Iron Horse for that. Like,
Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves
or
here.
like
But
gone before Pyro. I could have gone with you guys for that. Like, let's be real.
um, yeah. So I think there are, I mean, there's a variety of different reasons. I mean, one of the challenges too with coming up with these objectives is you're doing that in January, right? And then you have the whole rest of the year ahead of you that will potentially affect how things change or sort of where your mind space is. And I think in particular, one of the big things at the start of the year is we were putting a lot of peer pressure on you to get a 240 Bravo, a Mark 240 Bravo. And I know now that that's not really gonna happen. And I don't mean necessarily. First, it's definitely not happening in 2025. Unless you decide to do something mad in the next 6 days.
I mean, like,
Yeah,
I don't think even if I bought it today and paid whatever Andy's would charge me to overnight one, I don't think it'd actually be here before January. The
that's
way
yeah,
I don't know how your mail's been, but like,
yeah.
um,
But also, I think in a more serious tone, I think you and I have had some serious conversations about like airsoft spending just in general, and like where does it make sense to be spending our money and stuff like that. And although the idea of a 240 Bravo is certainly really cool, like there's a lot of other airsoft things that I think would take
yeah.
precedent over that for yourself. And I don't mean to speak for you, but I mean,
No, I
and
mean, I
also
think you're.
other stuff in the real world that probably would take precedence over all of that, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that like when I wrote this up last January, like I've got order an M240 Bravo there, and I have separately, but really related, buy a project gun, which I should not.
Mhm.
You know, so like, that the 240 Bravo is like a conservatively $2,000 project, right?
Yeah.
Which is relative to the amount of times I'm going to game it, right? Like, so I did succeed at my goal of playing 9 games this year, which feels really good. Like, that is a little better than 2 games per month that there was actually airsoft.
Mhm.
And like, I could probably have done a little better towards the end, but we just had a couple of weeks of like, no one showing up, and or it being like, all right, we're all gonna go, and then we wake up and the weather's complete garbage, and it's like, eh.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, like I'm really happy with that. But when and I mean, this is a point you made when I was talking about the M24 Bravo in a serious, like, am I actually going to do this stupid thing kind of way? Like, I could send the box mag back, send the box mag for the 249 away, get it back, and then sell the 249. And if I recouped like a reasonable amount of what I have in it, then it'd pay for half that project,
Mhm.
to get objectively a super cool thing. Like, and mechanically, like from a, like, what can I make that do on an airsoft? Probably a fairly oppressive one, right? Like the 249 rather has no barrel, right? It is a little carbine length barrel, and I'm still getting really excellent results out of it when it's, I mean, even if I just run on a box on a M4 mag, it works quite well. It's a good gun at this point. I'm not sure that like, like I can picture the sort of performance metrics of like a barrel the length of my M27 attached to the mechanism of the
Yeah.
249, right? Like, and it's sort of like, oh yeah, that would be pretty cool from a like, what can I make this do? how stupid an airsoft gun can Pat make is a question that appeals to Pat.
Yeah, and it definitely, I mean, it would be pretty insane. But I think to your point, the adult sort of question around, well, it's going to be minimum $2,000, and it's like there are a lot of other $2,000 problems in your life, or I should say, there are lots of other problems in your life that deserve a $2,000 solution more than
Yeah, I
playing
mean,
airsoft, 9
you
times in
know,
a year.
yeah, like at the end of the day, and the other big thing is like, so I played Airsoft 9 times this year, right? If I had spent last winter tuning, had the 249, 240 up and completely running at the beginning of the Airsoft season, um, I probably only would have gamed it 2 or 3 out of those 9 times.
Yeah.
Like that starts to look pretty silly for 2 grand. I mean, I ran our Kirby's op at frontline. I ran as a rifleman because we didn't have any slots available for another LMG or
DMR. Yeah.
right? And like that's fine. I was delighted to do it. One of the one of the reasons that I had a bunch of try to get kills with a 203 on here, and then I spent 5 or 6 of those 9 games as a DMR, which was super fun, and I have no regrets about it, but probably made those impossible.
Yeah.
So yeah, the long and short of the 249 is like, that is like a really expensive an airbrush compressor for that to replace. And like, I don't need to replace mine, but like it's old, and I sort of want to keep money in the bank account with a vague eye towards when that stops working. I'm going to want to have a new one tomorrow, right? Like,
Yeah.
like that's going to be a buy it now. So yeah, and travel, or swords that I don't need, which is, yes, another thing I don't need. But like, there's the list of dumb things Pat wants to own is very long.
Yeah, and that's not even talking about like smart things. I mean, it's 1/10 of a down payment on a house, or it's like like a mortgage payment, or like whatever. Like the reality is, you're never going to find shortages of things to spend the
Oh yeah,
money
it's
on.
just it's
Right?
just a matter of like, even if I'm trying to find, like, even if I've managed to fit $2,000 of fun money into my like, saved $2,000 in my fun money sock, like I'm still not sure that's what I want to do with it, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a lot of other hobbies that, even if and I know you specifically, but you, the listener, like, I'm sure that we all have hobbies that we do more frequently than airsoft, right? So like for me, like one of my objectives this year was to play airsoft 20 times. And I don't believe I accomplished that. I tried to look back on how many times I played at Frontline, plus adding the game in Belgium and adding the game in Ontario and stuff like that. And like I also ran a bunch of games, so that doesn't count as playing, right? So ultimately, like, let's assume that I played 15 times, right? I definitely know I played at least 10, right? Let's say I played 15. There's a lot of other hobbies that I do. Maybe not a lot, but certainly some other hobbies that I do more than 15 times a year. And even if you look at the amount of hours, so like you look at airsoft, you're there for approximately 5 hours, right? Let's say. Um, then you add on the Ontario game in there, which was like 12 hours. And the Belgium game, which I can't remember how long we were out there. Let's say it's like 8 hours or whatever, right? So conservatively, I've spent 70, 80 hours playing airsoft in 2025, maybe a bit more than that. But I'm just using this as an example. There's a lot of other hobbies. Like if I look at running, how much time do I spend running? Like so much, right?
I mean, that's going to be, I think, for like hours put in, running is beating out most of the things in your life that
Yes.
aren't work or sleep. Like,
Yes, for sure, right? But I mean, I just mean this as an example. That's the case for me
I'm
with running.
just being silly. Sorry.
Yeah, no, not at all. But like, you think about the average listener, like in our community members, like I think about all the other hobbies that people in our Discord, for example, share that are not airsoft related, but that are still parts of who they are. Whether it's like working out at the gym, or buying crazy Finnish surplus gear all the time, all day, every day, and showing the receipts, or whatever. There's a lot of other things. So I guess my point is to say, examining your spending is not necessarily a bad thing. And I think in your case specifically, not ordering a gun that you should not have, not ordering the 240 Bravo, despite my peer pressure at the start of the year, almost certainly the right call.
And
Right?
like I
That
did,
doesn't give you the square on your bingo card, but it certainly is the correct
oh yeah,
the
totally.
correct move.
And like I did buy, I did buy airsoft gear this year. It was mostly just like backpack pouches stuff, like for running longer games and like adjusting
Yeah.
to having like, I mean, frankly, like the backpack that I've been using for my air and stuff is really nice, but it's very small. And I actually did need a slightly bigger one, as it turns out. Like, I bought the bigger one because I was like, okay, well, I'm going to play a longer op where I need to be carrying a bunch of other stuff, food, whatever, hydration, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But it turned out to also just be super comfy and great for like running for a random skirmish, and that's awesome. Um, you know, what else we got here? Like, I definitely did do some other good stuff with it, like because of this. Like we talked about in terms of setting objectives, like tinkering with my setup for my pouches and setup for my chest rig a whole bunch, and I did that 3 or 4 times because I completely set it up differently for your longer op. And even though that didn't work out for me in terms of like being able to play it, it was still interesting to like revise the entire loadout and like strip everything down and basically
Yeah,
just go, okay, so
certainly.
like what do I, if I'm rebuilding my airsoft kit to be as lightweight as possible because I'm going to be wearing it for 12 hours hiking in the woods and doing all sorts of stuff, then like what does that look like? It was a cool experiment. Running the dump patch on the front has been like probably my favorite change I've made to my loadout this year. Like just like one of those like, oh wow, this is I think like maybe I'll put it on my bingo card for next year is like buy a nicer, like a like slightly more expensive dump pouch that's not just floppy and huge.
Mm-hmm.
But like yeah, it was great. I really like the current setup I've got going on, but it was super cool to like strip everything down. I think I did it 3 times, like strip it off, rebuild it, try it for 4 or 5 games. In the case of the long op one, I just reset it back to like a version that I'd been using previously afterwards, but like it was still cool to try.
That was a big change for me as well. Like one of my bingo objectives was play with just a belt and wear my low speed kit for a regular skirmish. And in January, this is like, okay, well, we'll see how this goes. But then by like June, essentially, my belt kit and my low speed kit are my standard kit. That's what I wear all the time now.
You've corrected
I
him.
it's just I realized that it was lighter, it was better, it does everything that I need to do. And even when we went to Red Road, which was a longer Milsim type situation, I was wearing a backpack with that on top, and just my regular belt kit because fundamentally it has everything that I needed to do, and my chest rig wasn't really doing much of anything else. And in fact, when I thought about it, like my my chest rig was actually more limiting than my belt kit. My belt kit is actually a lot more flexible, right? Because I have okay, so yes, on my belt with my chest rig, I used to have my dump pouch and like my grenades and stuff like that, but it wasn't Molly. So a lot of the stuff that I had just did,
Mm.
like it was whatever. But with the belt, it's all Molly. So I can have whatever pouches I want on there, including like the 203 pouches, including the banger pouch, which I'm probably going to end up taking off because I don't really need it. And just having this like general purpose pouch that just fits grenades in it, right? Whether it's the flamingos or when we were at Red Road, the pyro frags, that just you just stuff them in there. And then like you having the dump
This is
pouch on the front
the
left is
Sacco
just
frags.
yeah, yeah. And then like literally like at Red Road, I had one of my frags was just in my front dump pouch, right? Because
Yep.
it's easier to grab that than going back and like grabbing like messing with the pocket on the side or whatever. So like the first frag I tossed at Red Road, it was just reach into the dump pouch, haul the pin and throw it. Although I did it with my proper hand, but regardless, right? Like those are changes that in January we're like, okay, well we'll make some changes and see how it goes. Or like in my case, it's like, well, you're gonna play with just a belt. You'll do that one time to get the bingo objective, and that'll be it. And then actually, as it turns out, this is actually really great. One of the things that I did do only once was play with just a sidearm. So I did that one time, and I was like, okay, I've done it. I can check off the box, and I'm not doing that again because really, unlike some people like, Matt, for example, who runs an AAP01 or like as their primary, for me, like my, my Tokyo Murray MNP9 is fine, but I only have one mag for it. It's really like a replica of Last Resort, so to speak, right? So that's something I really want to be doing.
And like I think Matt is running an AAP that is a sidearm, and I have to put air quotes around sidearm at this point. Like, um, I think you'd be happier running a sidearm for a game if your sidearm worked as well as his does.
Yeah, for
Did what his
certainly.
like there's a performance metric piece there that like should be noted. Neither of my two airsoft sidearms are like super spot on or anywhere near as dialed in as you can get one, especially in AAP. Like they're very customizable. Um, but yeah, I don't think I even had that on mine, which is kind of funny.
No, I don't think you did.
Um,
You had a bunch in there about, and so did I, about like 2 or 3 kills, or not two or
mm,
three kills necessarily, but 2 or 3 stuff related to the 2 or 3. Like tagging John, I think was on there for you, and then you had, I think, getting shot by my 203, and then like tagging like 3 people, and then 5 people with your 203. I had a bunch with there as well
I
because
do think, yeah, I overinvested in that as well,
yeah,
perhaps.
I had a bunch. I think I had one 203 on there, just because it was my first year using the 203. Right, I picked up 203 around Christmas time last year, just before Christmas, and never really got a chance to use it because the weather was, what it was. Weren't really playing airsoft, and then that's when we started using, tinkering around with the flying flamingos as well as the Ace Hive shells, and all that stuff. And I mean, what a change for me. Like I didn't play a single game in 2025 at Frontline that I didn't use my 203 multiple times. Right? I'd fire my Ace High shelves at a minimum, and then go and reload them between every game. And then I would also shoot flamingos just for the fun of it, like either a chalk or just the 209 primer one, but with no primer, just as a dummy, just for funsies. Um, I did that
Totally.
several times, and I got lots of kills with the 203. What I thought was really interesting as a side note is there's a bunch of times where I'm not necessarily sure I hit the players, but they called it anyway. Because I guess of the spray of BBs, or it landed and just looked around to like, well, that would have gotten me, so I guess I'm out kind of situation,
like,
right?
like, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. You, meanwhile, didn't use your 203 quite as much because you were doing mostly DMR for, I think, like
Yep.
what, at least 2/3 of the season.
Yep. And then one of the other games where I was running the 203, I was running as a section leader, so I was not like facing eyes into the fighting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Stupid
Um,
having to be sensible.
yeah. I also had stuff in there about like grenade kills. That was a big thing. Again, looking forward to at the start of the year using the tornado, the not tornadoes, excuse me, the flamingo grenades. I mean, I used them so much this year.
I mean,
I
they're
broke
great.
some,
Like,
I got them replaced. Threw more. One game, I'm pretty sure I threw 5 in a row. Just constantly, we were playing a road game, and I was facing towards the parking lot. So I'm looking right by the oil tank. If you can reference what
oh
I'm
yeah,
thinking, I just threw one after another, after another, after another, just over and over and over. Um, and I
I'm
like,
tired of there being people behind that cover.
yeah, and like even the guy who was behind there was like, "Can you stop with the grenades already?" But like it's like 5 in a row. But like, yeah, I so
Can
many,
you
and
stop with the grenades? Are you still there? Then no.
yeah, and that's of course not including the pyro that we used in Red Road as well. I don't know if I actually got anyone with the pyro at Red Road, um, but yeah, I definitely got several kills with the grenades as well, and always a good investment, I think. Especially like the pyro is fun, but it's very expensive. Like if you think about it, it's close on $20 per pyro, right? So that's not a cheap throw, but it's a lot of fun. On the flip side, you can get some throwable flamingos that you can reuse over and over and over for the cost of for like 50 or $60. So that's totally worth it, especially if you're playing like we do at areas where there's enough hard surfaces for the grenade to actually land and go off. Going off in the grass is a little bit more a dicey proposition, as we've talked about. But yeah, just phenomenal.
And just
Yeah.
the yeah, I mean, we've also talked at length before about the amount to which a actually reasonable throwable grenade is a force multiplier in airsoft, like
Yeah.
relative to trying to dig someone out of cover while you're using your replica. Like, yeah, except no substitutes.
Yeah. 100%. Did you manage to get shot in the face this year?
Yes, definitely. Several times. Um, I was one of the reason that's the reason that there's actually a conversation with Cal, um, that was sort of to the effect of like, here are better ways to use cover, and if you're doing it effectively, you'll know because you'll start getting shot basically only in the hands, replica, and face. And so I was using cover better because I got shot a lot in the hands, replica, and face. So it's like, all right, mission accomplished, I guess. Um, I always just sort of assumed previously that people were just shooting me in the nose because there's so much nose. But yeah, no, it was really good. I mean, like, I don't love getting shot in the face, but the knowledge that I'm doing the thing right and getting shot less because of it, even if it means that I'm getting shot in the face, is pretty okay.
Yeah.
Um,
And that's such a valid point. Like if you think about how airsoft is, especially like when you're doing CQC style airsoft, which is a lot of what Frontline is all about, and you're peeking around cover and stuff, like really what do they have to shoot at other than your face, your replica, your hands, right? Not a lot. If you're getting shot in the leg, that leg should have been inside, right? If you get
yeah,
shot in the
exactly
back,
right.
that back,
Like,
your back should have been inside. So it's a fair point by Cal, and I think it's an interesting metric for you to be like, okay, am I improving at using cover better? I will know if I start getting shot in the face more.
yeah,
But
like, and
it's not. You're not off base. It's just a
you know,
really funny way of
it's
measuring success.
oh yeah, it's just womp womp.
Yeah.
This is what winning looks like.
One of the things that I really did, not succeed at this year was the ACP booklet, so the Airsoft Challenge program. So
Mm,
Matt had sent me the booklet last year. I did some work on that, and so I set goals for myself to finish the next tier and then finish the whole works of it, the whole booklet. And I never did, and I kind of didn't prioritize it. And also, part of the challenge was the objectives that are there, not really well suited to the kinds of games that we play.
okay.
So we would have had to set up a different type of game for me to be able to accomplish some of the objectives in that booklet, which isn't to say that I'm beyond that. I mean, I organize games all the time and we come up with game modes all the time. It's just I never really got around to it.
Just
A
didn't work
lot.
out that way this year.
Yeah, and a lot of my focus, especially when you think about airsoft and like running games, was really focused on the things that we were going to run outside of Frontline. Well, the big events at Frontline for one, but then like how we're going to organize the big Milsim that we did, Silent Resolve. Like that was a big part of my focus on airsoft focus this year.
And like
And
very successfully and justifiably, right? Like,
yeah, certainly. But I mean,
but
I
not
guess
well aligned towards the.
exactly. Yeah. And so like although I definitely have aspirations to continue to work on the ACP booklet and stuff, I think um my most of my focus when I think about how I interact with airsoft now and when I play is, well, firstly is on running and planning events, which I spent so much time of my free time outside of airsoft doing, and then also like focusing in on like the bigger stuff and like running squads and that sort of skill set rather than the individual stuff. It's interesting. I had a conversation with someone just the other day about this was on Discord about how like really like I haven't been excited to play a random skirmish at Frontline in like a very long time. Like ops and games and stuff, different story. But like a random Saturday game that I've been excited to attend, like
Yeah, it's
yeah,
much less your jam than mine, I think, at this point. Because like I'm still like fairly gung ho for it, but also to be honest with you, this year, I played 9 games and I was there. There was a point in there where I definitely was like, I went and played, and afterwards I was like, yeah, I see Phil's point here. Like, um, partly I think it was a Saturday where like we played exactly the games that you usually list in the cycle, and then nothing else. Like it was very, um, it was a low number of games Saturday, and it was sort of like, okay, well, yeah, that was ho hum. Like I
Yeah,
still had
same shit,
fun,
different day. Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
like I still had fun, but
Yeah, and this is the conversation I was having with this person. I was saying like when I get there, I'm having a good time. And usually it's by virtue of the fact that I'm not going to go unless some of y'all are going, right? Which means that I'm going to be surrounded with my buddies. Like I'm going to have a good time, right? And of course, like I'm not talking about like the skirmish we played in like Belgium and stuff. Like that's completely different. I'm
yeah, I
talking about
mean,
just going to frontline, right? Like going to frontline for a random skirmish.
a
Like
random skirmish in Belgium is not a random skirmish
yeah,
for you,
like
right? Like,
I'm looking forward to seeing you and seeing Cal and like T, Kirby, Fong, John, whoever, Matt, whoever's there, right? I'm looking forward to seeing the guys and like hanging out and playing some games, and maybe we get to do some cool stuff together. But the night before, I'm not at home going like, wow, I can't wait to play Airsoft tomorrow. It's like,
that's fair. Yeah, it doesn't have
like,
that.
no, I have done this for the last 19 years. I know, and we got the same way when we were playing at Redcliffe back in the day. It's like you go up to Redcliffe and we're gonna play a couple of games around the Octagon, then we're gonna go do like King of the Hill kind of situation, and then like it's mostly it's formulaic, and so what you become like for me at least, like I'm not excited to partake in Airsoft specifically. I'm happy to see the people and like do that stuff, but the novelty of the sport has sort of worn out, right? And so, well, sometimes you have to think about, well, do I really want to do this? It's like, well, once you get there, you're going to be having fun. But when you're sitting at home, like I'm not vibrating with excitement, right? Or even if I think about, to give another example of context, like before big races that I do, I get really nervous, like that nervous, like anticipation, like excited nerves, right? Don't feel that, right? I'm just like loading my mags at home, being like, yep, we're doing this again. All right. And then get out there, have a great time, have lots of laughs. Hopefully don't yell at anybody. And then, go home out of it, right? Like that's sort of what that sort of formula is about. So it's also, as a side note, why I'm kind of excited about 2026 and like the Airsoft League, because it is going to change stuff up, right? Every single month, those games are going to be different than the previous month.
And like,
Even if it's at the same place, the games will be different, right?
and it's going to be both, not at frontline, and like no slops to them there. Just, yeah, we are looking to provide a different experience, and we're gonna, I think that it's going to be a really cool season. I think it's going to be a big change and hopefully a hugely positive one. Like I feel like it's going to be a hugely positive one. I think people are going to buy in, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Like partly, people have been really enthusiastic about the scenarios this year and the scenarios in all previous years, and then like there was sort of a noticeable trickle off in people showing up to play pickup games this fall, and I feel like some of it was just people being like, well, I want less corner to corner village games and more complicated stuff.
Yeah.
And like, I, in some ways I'm like, well, it'd be cool if other people stepped up and ran stuff like that. And I don't mean that as like a negative to the community, just like, that's a thing people maybe could take away. But also I fully acknowledge that like you have more experience with that, more resources, more experience with like organizing stuff in general than the majority of the like age range of Airsoft players that we're playing with. But either way, I think it's going to be really cool to have, that flexibility.
Yeah. I think as a sort of corollary to, sort of that sort of like lack of like excitement about Airsoft, I think one of the things that I didn't achieve this year was around my ready ups. I had like an objective to do 20 ready ups per day for 1 month. And I just did not have the motivation to do that. Right. And then you might say, well, Phil, it's not about motivation, it's about discipline. I think if you know anything about how I run my hobbies,
I mean, those
I
are
don't
correlated
really,
though.
well, yeah, but what I was going to say is I don't think I really lack discipline, right? Like I force myself to do all kinds of stuff that I don't want to because I know that I have to all the time, right? But it's always in the context of like, okay, well, this is part of me achieving my goals, my objectives, etc. And like the ready ups, I didn't really see that helping me in any meaningful way. And maybe that's because of the way that we played games or the way that the games actually turned out. I know that, and I preach all the time that, ready ups are important. And I do believe that they are. I guess I felt sort of like, yeah, my muscle memory is where it is and it's not really going to get meaningfully better from me doing this. And so I just never bothered. I don't feel like I
And
suffered for it either, to be honest.
and I mean, like I did okay on mine.
You didn't do 1,000 though. That is a completely delusional objective. 1,000, like, okay, maybe not delusional, but like when you break it down, it's only like what, like 3 a day or something like that for the entire year, right? Which works out to what, like 20 per week or something like that.
Yep.
I mean, it's feasible. It's such a big number.
Oh yeah, no, it like I think my like silly ones on there, because I put a couple there that I knew were silly, were get a kill with a LARP weapon, which like could have happened. Um
If you
and
brought one to Airsoft, which I don't believe you did at any point.
no.
Yeah, okay.
Like
Straight up no.
yeah, that was sort of a like, I'm putting this here. I don't think it's a thing I'm going to accomplish. And yeah, the 1,000 ready ups, like, and in fairness, I didn't keep count. I'm not giving myself that one for free. I do ready ups just like randomly. Like I go into the part of my house where the airsoft gear is stored, and I'm like, I'm going to do some ready ups. It's not impossible that I did 1,000 in the sense that like sometimes I do 10, sometimes I do 40, but I didn't keep track at all. Like I made no effort to keep track, so I'm not willing to say I did or did that. Like, I don't have a counter where I'm like, oh, I actually did 999, but I stopped before this episode. Like,
yeah.
I did, I did ready ups. I feel like, broadly, I am happy with the personal skills part of my airsoft skill set. Like, the CQB stuff I did pretty okay at this year when I was doing that, when I was running as a rifleman. So I don't feel super like it didn't go well. Like I needed to do more desperately. So I correlate with you there, right? Like, I see the value in doing them. But it's also like, if I'm playing 9 times and no one's like, and I'm not getting stomped on, then my go home and practice some of my personal skill stuff is not as critical to me, in my head. But also, like, I'm, when I'm practicing personal skill stuff, and I do practice personal skill stuff, like once a week ish, it's usually more like shoulder transitions. It's the stuff that I think like makes a big difference while I'm moving around and shooting at people while we're playing. And the ready ups do make a difference, but it's a very, like, I feel like it's a small percentage points in CQB kind of thing, more so than it is a large percentage points when I'm doing the rest of what I do during a game of airsoft.
Yeah, and I think it depends on timing as well, and your own sort of development level as well. So I mean, if you're just starting out at airsoft, the benefit that you get from doing these exercises is tremendous. Once you've been doing it for a really, really long time, and you already have a bunch of muscle memory sort of built up, it's not to say that it's not useful, but it's just the return on the investment is pretty, low percentage points, as you were saying. And I think about, like, the other factor is that when it's January and you haven't played airsoft for a couple months and you're not going to play airsoft for a couple months, it's a different timing than when it's July and you played airsoft last week and you're going to play airsoft this week. And it's like, okay, how much do I really need to practice to keep those skills sharp if I'm playing every single week? Not to say that, again, you shouldn't, right? But I don't think at any point this year I felt that, oh, if I'd just been a little bit faster on my ready up, if I had been a little bit cleaner, if I'd picked out that target faster, or if my reload had been faster, I would have won that engagement instead of losing it. I don't feel that ever happened. And so again, the impetus to go and improve against that particular skill set is not necessarily as evident because, well, you don't have anything to like. It's not like you go for like, just as an easy example, you go for a run for 20 minutes and you're winded. It's like, okay, well, I need to start running more. It's like, well, obviously, because this is the experience that you had. Most of the stuff that I struggled with this year that I'm looking to try and improve on is not to do, to your point, with personal skills, not really, and more about bigger stuff. I mean, it's related to a lot of the stuff that ended up happening through Red Road. Like a lot of my objectives this year actually ended up being resolved, or not resolved, but completed by Red Road, including running a squad during an actual op was done at Red Road. Playing in the rain and playing in the snow, both of those things were also done at Red Road, which was something else. Yeah, right. And also buying a new replica. I bought a new replica to play at Red Road, which was amazing. But coming back to it, like I think when I think about Red Road, the biggest learnings for me were around managing a squad or managing a section, right? And how you're going to do that, how you're going to communicate. What lessons did I learn from that? What did I learn about my radio operation? What I need to change, improve against, and all the feedback that I received from that was in that context. It's never feedback on like, oh, you really got to work on those ready ups. You really got to work on those reloads. Although I did botch a few reloads, like the most benefit that I can get is probably getting sharper on how to run those small squads and sections.
Well, and like, it's you're in a place where you aren't as interested in, going and playing, medium-sized CQB games for a couple hours, right? Mm-hmm. So like you're already reasonably good at those skills, like, and I think if they get rusty to a point where it's negatively impacting your play, you'll sharpen them up pretty easily and pretty quickly. But going, yeah, these are, this is what I'm doing right now. These are the skills that I want to develop. Makes sense,
Yeah. And I think when I look forward to my bingo card next year, I think there will be some focus on that. The challenge that I am faced with is that it's very difficult for me to practice those skills here, because any games that get run here, by and large, will be run by me. So my opportunity to actually run a squad, a section, or hell, a platoon, or anything else is extremely limited, and I would say basically non-existent, unless, like last year, someone steps up to run a game and gives me the opportunity to run. I was fortunate enough to run the entire CDF side here, so that was awesome.
Yep.
But
that was really good from, I think, everyone's point of view. Like we all had a blast.
I can't remember the last time I would have done that. It would have been probably Operation, like the Battle for Stalingrad at Frontline Action in 2011, right? So you're talking almost, 14 years, right? 13 and a half years.
Yep.
Right? So that's pretty wild. So it's definitely something, a skill set that I am, more that certainly would like to sharpen up more than my personal skills, which, like you said, I think are adequate. They serve, right? I'm not the best. I'm not the worst. I'm not the fastest. I'm not the slowest. I'm like, in a good place. I'm satisfied as well, right? Looking at Red Road, like,
like I said,
right?
I know you well enough to know that if you're going to stuff and getting your ass kicked, you'd be adjusting it, right?
Yeah, well, yes, that's also super fair, right? Like, yeah, if I felt like I was really getting rolled all the time, and let's be clear, like there are lots of games that I play where I'm the first person to get out. That happens so many times.
But I mean, that's Airsoft, like.
But exactly, and I think that's the difference. Like if I can't remember, like we played a game. One of the last games that we played, there was a bunch of like beginners, newbies, or whatever, and renters. And we came up with a plan. We ran from the start point, and I got shot immediately. And if you asked me, okay, what would I do differently? The answer is nothing. I would not do anything differently. I was just unlucky that happened.
What would you do differently? I don't know, not get shot. Like,
yeah, like exactly. Like, okay, well, I would use my like ESPN powers to make it so the other guy doesn't shoot me. Right? Like that's really, because everything else was fine. My fundamentals were good. My cover utilization was good. My movement was good. The coordination was good. It just so happened that he had a BB in the air when I was moving and I got shot by it. Them's the breaks. That happens, right?
Yep.
So ultimately, coming back to it, I think, yeah, did I do my ready ups? Nope, I did not as much as I should have. but my focus was elsewhere. And again, where your focus is in January is not necessarily where your focus is going to be in June, July, August, especially when you start playing games regularly and stuff.
For sure.
One of the things that I know that we did, but I know you didn't take part. We did some training, so that's one thing that we organized. We organized sort of a team training event, and it was a team/community training day up at Frontline. So that was fun. We did a social event, which I don't think you came out for. That was the one at my place after Silent Resolve. I don't know if you were there for that.
I was there.
Okay. Yeah, yep. So that was a sort of a team social. Unfortunately, Chris from Nomad Airsoft was supposed to be there, but because of his flights, he got all messed around. Yeah. So the whole idea was, hey, let's have a social at Phil's house, and you guys can all meet Chris and hang out. And then he had to leave because Air Canada was on strike, et cetera, et cetera. So we did do a bunch of that kind of stuff, which I think is super fun. One of the things we didn't do that I wanted to do was a community like barbecue. And when we say barbecue here in Canada, we mean, for those of you in the South, we mean a cookout. But basically just like a big sort of like dinner where we have the grills going and you can get burgers, hot dogs, whatever. That's something that we wanted to do at Frontline, and we never got around to it as well. I mean, it's worth noting we did have that big like fire ban throughout a lot of the summer, which sort of
so there was a big chunk where we just couldn't do it.
Yeah. So like there was like, it wasn't just like open fires. It was like nothing. Nothing like that at all near the woods, etc. So ultimately, we weren't able to do that, but that's something I definitely want to do next year. I think, especially if you are in a place where you have a smaller community. Obviously, if you're playing in a place like Zippy and like Jack, where there's like 5 of them, then that's a different conversation. Yeah. But if you have a small community like ours of like 20, 30, 40, maybe up to 50 people, like those types of community events can be really good at building that sort of camaraderie between people. And I highly, highly encourage you to try and host them, right? Like it's not too much to ask to get everybody to chip in like $5 or $10. And then there's food and there's drink for everybody. And yeah, it's something we wanted to do, but never really got around to this year.
I feel like we started to plan it and then the fire ban happened and it was like, well, I guess not.
Yeah, basically that was the long and short of it, right?
The gods have disagreed with this plan. Okay.
Yeah. One of the other things that I had this year that also Red Road helped with was playing Airsoft at night. That's something that, I'm really hoping to be able to do more of next year.
For no reason whatsoever.
For no reason whatsoever, yeah. I don't know if I would go back to Red Road in particular. And not to say that I wouldn't go back to Red Road. I should say that in a different way. It's not that I wouldn't go back to Red Road, but I think I've done Red Road. So I think if I'm going to do another larger event in Canada, I'll probably pick a different one to experience that at a different location, etc.
Yeah, like if you're going to travel and pay the amount of money that you're looking at for doing that, you might as well go to another different one as many times as there are different ones, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and there's so many different options in Ontario in particular, whether it's, at the compound or whatever else. So that's something we'll look at again for next year. I know one of the things that you were looking at was working on your fitness. So I know that that's something that you've been sort of like working on just in general, but I wonder if you wanted to share a little bit about how that's been going for you this year and sort of where you ended up.
Yeah. So like, I'm not, I end the year not happy with the outcome in the sense that like, my strength is way up. My cardio is not where I want it to be at the end of the year, but it's also so much better than it was in January that I kind of feel like it's a win anyway.
Yeah.
In the case of the strength training and the cardio stuff, I said this, I think the last episode I was on, I'm down about 30 pounds. And like that is an amount of weight that makes you feel a lot better just doing your day to day. Right.
Yeah, certainly.
So yeah, I've I guess we'll post up the bigger cards. I've checked that one off as a success. I'll say here to the community, it's a qualified success. Like I'd like to be even better, but like cool motivation, right?
Yeah, and I always say 20% is better than 0%, right?
Yeah, man. Like I am 100% in a better place than I was last January in terms of my physical health, in terms of like how fit I am, in terms of how much weight I'm carrying. I hope to be able to say that I'm also, again, this much better next year, right? Like, one of the big things that sort of settled into my brain, I think, this year is how much just doing the thing, showing up and doing the thing, whatever it is that you're trying to get better at, whatever it is that you want to do, just regular showing up and doing it is the path to success there, which I guess is the discipline piece that you were talking about earlier. And yeah, I've been doing much better at that.
Yeah, to be honest, of all the objectives on your bingo card, this is the one that I dislike the most. And do you know
very
why?
Non-specific.
Yes, exactly. It's not specific. Because I think that actually, if you had qualified it in some way, you could have had the potential to surprise yourself, either positively or negatively. But I think, knowing you, probably on the positive side, you probably would have undershot this one, and you would have ended up the year being like, oh, okay, I'm actually. So for next year, my feedback to you is I want to see some specifics. Like, and we can figure out what that is together if you want to.
Absolutely, but that is a good idea.
And I would tell all of you who are listening, like, if you are, because it's the time of year where people are looking at their resolutions, and they're just, you just finished eating your 3rd Christmas turkey and your 5-pack of Christmas sweets or whatever, and you're like, oh, next year I'm going to get in better shape. Cool. Take some time to think about what that would mean for you specifically. So I think in Pat's example, so it's like, okay, well, you're down 30 pounds, which is like 14 point something kilograms, which is not a negligible amount, right? So that's amazing, right? So is it realistic for you to say, I want to lose another 30 pounds next year? Well, really depends what your total weight is. So I know for Pat, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. For someone who's my weight, for example, and I'm weighing about, 70 something kilos. I don't have that to lose. So
that would be unwise.
Yeah, but you look at yourself and you're like, okay, I want to lower my body weight by 10%. Great. Excellent. Put it on there, right? Or maybe it's on the cardio aspect. And I would encourage you, the listener, and you, Pat, as well, but you, the listener, to break them down. Like, have a cardio one, have a strength one, right? Have a weight one, maybe. On my personal one, that's not the Airsoft one, but I had one around weight, which I did not achieve. I had many around cardio and like personal bests for running, some of which I did achieve, right? And I had some about strength as well, right? So that way I can be very specific and say, did I do them? And for full disclosure, some of those were very basic. One of my strength one was do 1 pull-up, right? Which for some people are like, oh, that's easy. I can do that. Okay, fine. Absolutely. For me, it's always been sort of aspirational to do that. And I'm happy to report that I did not achieve it. So I'll be easily able to port that next year. But I'm very close. Like, I'm pretty sure that like January, February timeframe, I will do like 1 unassisted pull-up. But and when I mean pull-up, I mean like with my hands like over the bar, not like this, but really pulling with my lats. Anyway, whatever. Sorry, I don't mean to bore you guys. Point is, being really specific and breaking them down to these smaller chunks is also because you get that dopamine hit of like, yeah, I did this, awesome. And also you're really granting yourself that opportunity to support yourself, right? So not support yourself, surprise yourself. Also support yourself, but mostly surprise. To be like, wow, like I set this as an aspirational goal and I did it. Go me kind of situation, which, that feels kind of cool, right? It'll give you the opportunity to do that throughout the year as well, right? So and in any event, but also, as a side note, I'm super pleased with that objective too for yourself, even though it's non-specific and I hate it. I also like it because we're friends and I want you to be a fitter person in general. But yeah, so ultimately I think, you did really good with that one, even though it's not specific. And
the goal was bad, but the success was good.
Yeah, and the intent was good. I think ultimately it's like, hey, I want to just be fitter. Okay, cool. And did I achieve that? Yes, I did. Did I achieve it to the level that I wanted? Well, you weren't specific about it, so who knows? But also no. So great. So again, we have some ideas for next year, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think a big part of doing this type of exercise is understanding, like, what you think is possible and what you think is like achievable and stuff like that. And then learning either, okay, that was way too ambitious, or okay, that was a bit of a gimme, and next year maybe I don't want to make it so easy. Surprisingly, one of the most difficult ones on mine was playing with 7 Storm Riders, because we're all adults and we're all so busy. Getting 7 of us at the field is like basically impossible. Happened one time this year.
Hey.
So yeah, I'm happy with it, but like, come on, guys.
Yep. Understandable.
Are there any ones that you're thinking about for 2026 that are very different from what you're looking at on your list, or that you've considered, you like something maybe out of left field that you're thinking about for next year?
I mean, as of right now, I'm thinking about sort of like, more specific fitness stuff, because that's what we were just talking about. And that's how my brain works. Um,
Hmm.
I don't know if there's anything out of left field. In some ways, if I can afford to, the idea of traveling with you guys to an airsoft game, like it's way out of my comfort zone. So maybe I should try it. you know,
Yeah, I
does that
think
make
you'd
any sense?
find. I know you. I know the traveling piece is out of your comfort zone, but I think you would find that, especially surrounded with people who are like-minded, you're. It's just like, okay, well, we're doing this thing, right?
Oh yeah, the
Um,
the gameplay piece would almost like that part would certainly be fun.
yeah,
You know,
yeah. So, I mean, there's nothing I would love more than to travel with you to play airsoft. I would love for that to happen. I think we don't necessarily know exactly what we're doing next year. I know the big thing, one of the big things on my bingo card this year, and it's going to be again on my next year, is organize my biggest airsoft milsim to date, and that was Operation Silent Resolve in 2025, and it's going to be Operation Silent Resolve 2 in 2026. And to those of you who are listening, like, you're all invited to come down. We have people coming down for the event already confirmed from the United States, from Ontario. We're hoping to get our friends from Flamingo to come down. There are people in Nova Scotia who are looking at coming up. We got people in New Brunswick who are looking at coming up. Other people from the United States would be amazing, whether it was from Colorado, or from Boston, or even like
all
maybe
all are welcome.
New Hampshire. Like, I mean, you know who you are. Like, this is addressed to everyone. And so as a consequence, like, this is going to be probably the biggest airsoft game that we've had in Newfoundland, full stop, because I think we will have as many locals as possible, as well as lots of people coming from the outside. And also the biggest in terms of just um, like approach and skill set. And like, we might have night vision at this game, which we've never ever had before.
That's
So
wild.
it
So
would
cool.
be right. Like, and it's a weekend event, so like people arrive on Friday, and then the event's on Saturday, and then the raffles on Sunday, and people go home. Like, that's unheard of here. We've never ever done something like that, so it's going to be huge. And that's the biggest thing on my bingo card for next year is that. Aside from that, though, I haven't really thought about where we might travel to play an event. I know that there are people who are planning to go like to different like AMS events and stuff like that. Milsim West in the States. I don't really have any intention of traveling to the United States in 2026. Um,
Yep.
so it's going to be looking at. I know that Ambo is planning a Get Blasted event at Oktoberfest, or just before Oktoberfest in Munich, which would be amazing to travel to. So there would be some budgeting necessary for
Yeah.
something like that. But then there's also other games in Ottawa where it's Under No Flag is an event that's organized by one of the people we talked to at Red Road, who said he would be welcome to come up. So that would be something.
Awesome.
And then there's other all kinds of different events. And so if there are events that you're listening, you the listener are like, hey, you should check this one, definitely let us know on the Discord. Like, I'm open to suggestions. But yeah, so there's a lot out there, and I would love for you to attend if that's something that makes economic sense for you, as well as the rest of it. But yeah, so certainly
Things to talk
certainly
about in
that
the
would be out
future.
of left field for you. I To be honest, like, it would be out of left field just because, for me, just because I'd written that off as something that would never really happen, right? So if you turn around and say, you know what, Phil, that's happening next year, like, I would be over the moon, over the moon. um I like I mentioned, for me, the games next year, I think a lot of my 2026 is going to revolve around Silent Resolve 2 and the League, right? So I'm gonna have bingo objectives there that might be some gimmies on for the league, but I think they're important. Like, I'm
Well,
looking forward
start
to.
an airsoft league.
Well, so I can't do that in 2026. So we started it this year, so it's already done. But I think there will be some stuff around there, like crown a league champion, right? I think that's something that I'm really looking forward to. I'm hoping to have some real like recognition for those people who win, in addition to prizes and stuff like that. But like a plaque, and we'll see how all that goes. But
Some
that's
sort
going
of
to be
hat.
Yeah, yeah, maybe a fancy hat or some sort of jacket, perhaps. But yeah, so that there's going to be stuff on there, and I don't know what I'm going to do for like out of the left field objectives. I mean, this year I had like be the last player standing during a match, which never ever happens to me. Um, I had some stuff around growing our audience this year, which we did achieve. Um, yeah, I'm not really sure, but I'm really looking forward to next year overall, and I'm
Me too.
going to be sharing our 2026 bingo card once we get them completed in the Discord, and we're going to invite you guys to do the same. I would like to get some sort of prizes for bingos next year, if there's any interest. But I don't know what that would look like, so we'll keep that under wraps for now. But just something to for us to consider. If you care, if you have some ideas, I'd love to hear about it on the Discord as well. So I think that about brings us to a wrap for 2025 for Call Your Hits. I think we've had an outstanding year
Agreed.
overall. I'm just always as ever just flabbergasted that people listen for one thing, um, but just so humbled to have been able to meet so many of you this year, to play some games, enjoy airsoft in a different kind of way. A huge shout out to all the guests that we've had on the podcast over the year. The fact that there are people out there who are speaking our name independent of what we're doing is insane.
That's
Like
wild.
Dave at Zulu 24 is shouting us out on their podcast, which is crazy. And like it's we're really thrilled. We're still just a small community, a small podcast, talking about airsoft. It's this thing that we really love. And so we thank you for being with us on this journey and listening and tuning in over the last 5 years. And we're going to be continuing in 2026. Like there's no, what is it that they say? All gas, no brakes. Like that's basically what where we're at. Like I know Pat and I love recording together. We love, having these conversations, chatting with people, getting to meet new people, expanding on our vision about what airsoft is about and how airsoft is indeed a big tent. And even I would say now more than ever, it is so important to be inclusive and realize that everyone is welcome to play. If you can play, you can play. That's all that matters.
Absolutely.
And the more we do that, the better off airsoft will be for us here in Canada and in the rest of the world as well. So yeah, thank you so much for being part of that.
Thank you for an excellent year, everyone. And we'll see you in 2026.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in, and we will see you very soon, I guess. Take care, everyone. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and we will see you in 2026.
Have a
Take care.
fantastic holiday season. And yeah, see you soon.